Okay, so one thing I forgot to mention at the beginning of the call is I congratulations on all of you for making it this far. I know there's been a lot of paperwork, a lot of emails, a lot of forms, and a lot of things. So good job for making it up until this point. I know it's a lot of things, and it seems like it's never ending, but you are very close to the end now. So just know that the end is in sight, and this is like one of the very last steps of the application. Okay, so you can give yourselves a little applause. Um, okay, and then one more thing, I just want to quickly, everybody else, close your ears. This is just for Mariani. So you have the two appointments, the normal consular appointment and your ASC appointment. Okay, the one is on the 19th of March, and the second one is on the 20th of March, right? So just make sure that you look on your form. It's two different locations that you have to go to. I just want to open it here. I'm not sure if you've had a chance to look at this document yet. But yes, it's two different. So your ASC appointment is, I'm not going to try and pronounce that word, but it's two different locations. So please just make sure that you look at your booking confirmation, that you look at the two different addresses, and that you make sure that you're in time for both. Okay. Okay. You with me, Mariani? All good? Okay. Okay, so let's continue. So this part of the call, it's going to be a little bit different. I'm going to go through what you can expect at the visa interview, and how you can kind of best prepare yourself. So the information that I'm going to give you today is information that we've gathered throughout the last years, like applicants telling us what kind of questions they're getting, how, and it really helps for people like for us to prepare like applicants like yourselves that have never been to those visa interviews before. So I'm going to go through it section by section, and you can kind of make notes as you want, or just listen. Either way is fine. Okay. Before we start that, I just want to say that the visa appointment process is, or like the visa interview, it's never a guarantee that you will get a visa approved. I just want to mention that straight, like at the start already. They are quite strict. Like the US is one of the most difficult places to get a visa approved, especially a visa that you're going to be working, like a visa that you plan to work on. So just know that not everybody will get visas approved. That's just the way it is. We prepare all of you in the same way. You all have the same documents, but you all have different backgrounds and different plans and different applications. So it means that you will each be interviewed in a different way, and you will each be asked different questions depending on what they see in your application. So, and I don't want to scare you by saying people will get visa denials, but unfortunately, not everybody will get a visa. That's just the way these things work. Because you have to stand there and you have to interview, and they will ask you questions and judge by your response. And they will the consular officer will decide if they will give you a visa or not. I'm just going to go through some basic things about the interview, like before, how you can prepare. So what should you wear for the interview? So please don't wear too fancy clothing. Like don't go and buy a suit, or maybe don't go like what do you mean? Like don't go and buy new clothing for this interview. You should go in casual clothing but still look nice. But if remember you're applying for a camp counselor visa, so if you go to the interview like dressed like a lawyer, they might think, oh, what's wrong here? Except I think one of you might be working in the law field, which then it's okay. But don't dress up in a way that you never dress up, because they will think, oh, maybe you're trying to cover up something. So please just be aware of that. What should you bring to the interview? So you should bring all of your documents that we talked about today to the interview. Don't take too many other things with you, because usually these buildings, the embassies or consulates, have very high security in place, so they will keep the things that you bring at the entrance. So you'll go through a security checkpoint. So the less things you have with you, the better. So don't take a big backpack with a bunch of things inside, because they will keep it. You also cannot take your phone inside, or you can take your phone inside, but you cannot show them like documents from your phone. It doesn't work. It has to be on paper. Okay. Okay. Can someone else go in with you? No, except if you have a child, like a baby or something like that. But you cannot bring a friend or a family member with you. Also, if two of you are applying on the same day, you cannot go in together as friends. Like your applications are separate. Okay, so please just remember that. And then how early should you be there? I would say go early enough, like, I don't know, depending on your location, 15 to 30 minutes maybe before. But just make sure that if there's a line, that if your time is getting close, that you tell them that someone at the front, like your appointment is soon, so you have to be in the front. But I would go early. I would go maybe an hour before to see if there's a big line. If there's not a big line, then you can go a bit later. So that's what I would do. But this is different for every country. I've never gone to any of the consulates that you are all applying at, so I don't know exactly how long the people will stand outside for. Okay. How long will the interview be? So the interview is generally quite quick, so like 5 to 10 minutes. And only a small portion of that will be when the consular officer will talk to you and ask you some questions. And we'll get into that in a bit as well. The next one is only for Mariani. Why do you have two appointments? So you have two appointments because in Brazil it works like that. They separate the fingerprints and the photo, and the other appointment is your interview. For the rest of you, you have one appointment only. And in this appointment, they will take your fingerprints and do the interview. So it's one thing. Okay. In what language will the interview be? So I know, I think maybe none of you are native English speakers, but the interview will typically be in English. So English is also a program requirement. So like for this program, one of the requirements is that you can speak English. So the interview will probably be in English. It could be that the consular officer can speak Spanish or Portuguese. It's possible. But you will get an idea if other people are interviewing in that local language or not. So I cannot say that you might get an opportunity like that. It's, if possible, it's great. But typically they want to see that you can speak English as well. It's one of the requirements. So if the person speaks English to you, don't speak Spanish back to them, because they might think, oh, they understand nothing. At least give it a try. Okay. Is anybody stressed about speaking English at the interview? Raise your hand. No one. Okay, well, great. No one. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Okay, how many questions will you get? So you can typically expect to get anything from 2 to like 5 questions. If they ask you more questions, like let's say you get 10 questions, it's possible. It might, if you get more questions like that, it just means that they saw something in your application that they need clarification about, or maybe you answered a question in a way that they need more answers. So maybe you said something that they're not understanding, and then they ask more questions to clarify. So don't get stressed if you get 10 questions. It's okay. Just answer it to the best of your ability. And remember, don't answer with one-worded answers. Answer in full. So if they ask you, where were you born? Don't say Peru, Lima. Say like, I was born in Lima, Peru, and yeah. So give a full answer, like a sentence, not like only words. Like answer in full. They don't like when you just say like, the bare minimum, because they want to talk to you. They want to see if you're like who you are. Yes. But that being said, don't talk too much. Okay. If you don't give them irrelevant information, you have to give them only the information that they would want. Don't tell them about your grandmother or maybe some friends. Just talk about the things that are relevant to this application. Okay. Don't talk too much, because they will cut you off and they will say, shh. Okay. They won't do that, but I'm just giving you an example. Okay. So what can you do to improve your chances to get a visa approved? So firstly, by joining this call. So this call will give you an idea of what to expect. It will give you a bit of guidance on like what all of those documents are. If you go for the interview and the consular officer can see that you know what all the documents are already, that is a small thing, but it counts in your favor. If you have a pack of documents and the consular officer asks you for, the consular officer asks you, please give me your DS 2019, and you take 5 minutes to find a document, they will think, oh, this person doesn't know what's going on in the application. So that's a negative thing. But if they say, please give me your DS 2019, and you like, okay, there you go, that's a good impression you're making. Okay, so if you know what your documents are, that's good. So know the main documents that we spoke about today. Yes. Some of the questions that we'll go through in a second, I don't want you to memorize any answers. If you memorize, like, if you sound like a robot in the interview, like you prepared the answers, it's not good. They want to see that you are talking, that you are a normal person, and you are just answering the questions that they're asking. So don't write down 10 questions and try and remember all of the answers in English. It doesn't work. It actually is a negative thing you're doing. And if you forget like the English word for it, then you can say, sorry, I don't know what the English word is for this, but I mean to say this. So yeah, they don't expect you to have perfect English. They just need you to have a certain level. Okay. Let me see here. Obviously, in the interview, what's also important is the thing we spoke about before, is demonstrating to the consular officer the ties to your home country. So the ties to your home country means like your work or your studies or things that will make you want to go back to your home country. So talking about it, that demonstrating it, maybe showing the document. Those are the things that are important for that. And then be honest and speak clearly. Like, don't lie in the visa interview. Like, never do that. The information that's in your DS 160, they can see, the consular officer can see that information on the screen, and they can see maybe some more information about you. So if they're asking you questions, they're seeing that they're double checking that you know what's going on in the application. They're seeing that if it's the same thing you're saying, and they're not trying to trick you in answering something. They want to make sure that you are the right applicant to get a visa approved. So lots of times we hear that applicants tell us the consular officer doesn't even look me in the eyes. They just look at the screen the whole time. If this happens, it's quite normal, because they will have a screen next to them and they will read on the screen while you're standing there. And they might not even say hi to you. They might just read it. And you might come to the window and say, good afternoon or good morning, and they might say nothing. Okay? If this happens, don't get stressed, don't get worried. It's just because they see so many applicants every single day, and they're reading now, scanning through your application to see what questions they can ask you. Okay, so don't be worried if it happens like that. It's just because they are overworked and overwhelmed by all of the applicants that they see. Okay. Okay. Any questions so far? Yes. No questions? Okay. If you do, if the consular officer asks you a question and you don't understand what the question means, please ask them to ask it again. Don't answer a question that you don't understand. So please make sure that you understand what you're answering. And then be respectful. Like treat the officer like as an important person. Yeah, just be professional. Okay. Okay, so what happens after the interview? So if you get your visa approved, the consular officer will give back all of your documents to you. The only thing they will keep is your passport. So they'll keep your passport, and then in the next week they will print the visa page inside of it, and then they will send it back to you. If your visa is denied, so like you don't get a visa, they will give back all of your documents to you, and they will give you a form that says your visa has been denied. So hopefully that doesn't happen to any of you, but I'm saying it now because it does happen. These are unfortunately the truths of these applications. So yeah, that's what you can expect after the interview. If your visa is denied, you cannot appeal the case. Unfortunately, you cannot ask the consular officer why did you not give me the visa. It's not possible. They will never tell you what the reason is. It's unfortunate, but they will never tell you. They give everybody the same pink document that says your visa was denied because of this and this and this, but they never will tell you. They will never tell you. It does make it complicated, because if you would like to apply again for a second time, it's difficult to prepare for the second interview not knowing what you did wrong in the first one. But don't think about getting denied for now. For now, please stay positive. I just want to mention that you cannot, unfortunately, appeal the case. You can apply again, but then you'll have to pay the $185 visa fee again, which is a lot of money. So yeah, just so you know. Okay. The next section, I just want to quickly double check something. Okay, I think none of you have had previous visa denials, so I'm not going to talk about this. Yeah. Okay, so then we're going to go to maybe the questions that you can expect in the interview. So I'm going to give you like a basic idea of what you can expect, and then you can take some notes, or you don't have to take notes. Yeah. Okay, so the first category of questions is going to be about the purpose of your trip. So the purpose of your trip will be what are you going to do in the US? So they might ask you a question like, what is the purpose of your trip? If you get a question like that, please remember what it says in your DS 2019. You're a camp counselor. Camp counselor. Remember, it's camp counselor. Don't say I'm an intern or anything like that. You are a camp counselor. So you are going to be applying for the J1 camp counselor visa. J1 camp counselor, very important. And then you can say the camp's name. So if I would answer that question, I would say I am going to apply I'm applying for a J1 camp counselor visa to work at Honey Rock. That's what I would answer. Okay. They can ask you a question like, why do you want to go to the US and participate in this program? So you all will have different answers to that, but it's usually good to connect it to something that's important to you. So if you, for example, have worked previously at summer camps in your own country, maybe that's a way to connect it, and you can say this will be some good additional experience for you. If you are part of your local church, and maybe that's a connection, the way your connection was to reach Honey Rock, then you can talk about that. But you can talk about the experience and maybe the the experience that this can put on your CV as well, like on your CV, or just generally like for your life going forward. So it's important to connect these things when they ask a question like that. If you just say, I don't want to work in my own country, I want to work in the US, they will deny your visa. So please, they can see if you're passionate. If you're passionate about things that you want to do and this program, they will see it. So speak out of your experience. Um, um, and they can ask you, how will a program like this, or how will this program benefit you? They can ask you that. And it's similar to the previous answer where you could answer something like, the international experience I can put on my CV, and I could potentially going forward use that on getting a better job in my own country, something like that. But don't say, if I get this job in the US, maybe I can get a better job in the US. You know, they don't want you to stay in the US. That's the no, you should never say that. Okay. Okay. They can ask you about what are your long-term goals. So if they ask you about that, so your goals might be, if you want to complete your studies, you want to find a specific job in your own country. Maybe you want to I don't know, work in another like organization. So anything like that. But don't say nothing. If they ask you a thing about your goals or your wishes for the future, don't say nothing. Say something like kind of what you want to do. So hopefully you all have some sort of idea what you want to do. Okay, the next section is about your employer in the US. So they can ask you questions about HoneyRock to see that you know what's going on in your application. So they can ask you, where will you stay in the US? Or what is your camp's name? So make sure that you know what your camp's name is, where you'll stay. You don't have to know the exact address. So you don't have to know the exact address, but you should at least know what city and which state it's in. So at least know, is it Three Lakes, Wisconsin? Yes, at least know that. I've personally had an applicant on this program that didn't know where the camp was, and they got their visa denied. Okay, so please know Three Lakes, Wisconsin, at least. Okay, and Honey Rock, where you're going. Okay, and that's an easy way to just show them that you know what's going on. Okay, how do you know about your what do you know about your employer in the US? So they can ask you, what do you know about HoneyRock? And for that, it's always good to go to the website of the camp before you go for the interview. So look at the website, look at what kind of activities they have at the camp, look at the age groups of the kids that are going to the camp. Just a basic overview, because if I ask you, what do you know about HoneyRock, and you say nothing, I'm not going to give you the visa. You know, you should at least know the basics. Like HoneyRock has kids between the ages of, I don't know, 10 and 13, and they the activities that they specialize in is this, and that. So just know that's not the real answer. I'm just giving an example, but just know some of the basics, and that you can easily find on the HoneyRock website, or the information that they have shared with you. Okay. They can ask you about what your position is at camp. So when you're going to go to the camp, what is going to be your position? Like, what will you do in your role? So this is a very important question too, because they want to know what you will be doing when you're at camp. I'll say this now, like, this is extremely important. And Cynthia remember this from last year probably. If you have any sort of if your job has anything to do with the kitchen, don't say anything about the kitchen in the interview. Like, don't say it. You will get a visa denial immediately. Okay. You should instead talk about the things that you will be working with the kids and working with activities at the camp. I know that at HoneyRock, the roles are a little bit kind of mixed. So you have different roles in different places. But for the consular officer, if they hear anything about kitchen work, they think you're only working in the kitchen, and they will immediately deny the visa. So please don't say anything about kitchen work or maintenance. So this visa requires the applicant yourself to work directly with kids directly. If they think that you have a role where you work only in the kitchen with no contact with kids, or maybe you do maintenance with no contact with kids, you will get a visa denial. Okay, so please think about your answer when answering a question like that. I see some scared faces. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? Yes? Is anybody worried about what they want to say for that answer? Or anybody want to give me an example maybe? No? Okay. If you have questions about this after the call, you can still email me or I can talk to you. But please stay with your answer with working with kids and what you're going to be teaching those kids. Okay. If they ask you what your responsibilities will be, that's information you can get from MoneyRock. I don't know exactly what your responsibilities will be, but you can give them a short answer for that. They can ask you something like what kind of accommodation you'll stay in. It's not a very typical question, but if you know, you can explain you will be living in a bunk or in whatever accommodation it is. So maybe Cynthia, you can tell us what is the accommodation like at MoneyRock.
Excuse me, can you repeat your question?
Can you tell them what the accommodation is like at MoneyRock? Like what kind of accommodation you're staying in?
Well, in Honeyrock we have different roles. For example, I am applying for BLS. I will be working in the kitchen, but we are gonna receive campers to, maybe guys, you receive a mail from Betsy in my case from BLS, and in that email you will find a lot of roles you can mention in the interview.
Okay, perfect. And then accommodation, like what kind of accommodation do you stay in there? Like what is the place like? If you
Accommodation, do you mean like
the place you're sleeping in?
Okay. Honeyrock is a huge place. It's a huge place, but it's not necessary. Oh, they will send us a list of what stuff we need to carry on, but it's depend of the program you are attending. For example, if I am in BLS, I will be in another building, and if you are applying for SLS, you will be in another building. Yeah,
Okay.
it's different. If you are applying to, I don't remember, for the teenagers, it's another place. It's so far away.
Okay, thank you. That gives them an idea. Okay, so let's move to the next one. You should definitely know what age groups you will be working with. So if you don't know what age groups the kids will be that you're working with, please find out. Maybe you will get that information still from MoneyRock, or maybe you already have it. But if the consular officer asks you how old will the kids be that you're working with, if you say I don't know, they will not like that answer. So please at least know maybe the age group. Maybe Cynthia, do you know what the age group is exactly?
It's depend of what are they applying. So if you have any question, you can write me, or yeah, or WhatsApp message, and I can help you guys if you want.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So if everybody wants, if you're happy that I share your email address with some other applicants, then I can do that after the call as well. Okay.
I
Thank
will
you.
write my WhatsApp number here.
Oh, you can write it in the chat. Yes. Okay. So let's move on. I can ask you, how did you hear about this program? So like, how do you know about this HoneyRock program? So you all will know, have a different reason for knowing, but I'm guessing that all of you are part of maybe your local church, and there's some sort of connection through the church. That's what I'm assuming. So you can explain what that relationship is, like how you got connected to HoneyRock. Okay, there is their number. Okay. If you have any previous like camp experience, like let's say you worked at a summer camp in your home country, or maybe you've done a lot of camping yourself, or worked with kids, anything like that, anything that's directly like experience to the program. If they ask you about what experience you have that qualifies you for this program, you can talk about all those things: camping, working with kids, all of those things you can mention. Um, and please remember, I'm giving you a lot of questions now. You will not get all of these questions. You will get like maybe 2, 3, 4 questions. Okay. So don't think you have to remember all of this. Um, okay. Any questions so far? Anybody still understand what I'm saying? Anybody sleeping or like want to sleep? No? Okay. See some people falling asleep. I'm also falling asleep. So, all right. We're almost done. So we're not very far from the end. Okay, so the next section is about your future plans. So this is an important section because um, the consular officer wants to know that you have plans for the future, that you're not just applying for this program because you have nothing else to do with your life. They want to see that you have a plan, that you have an idea of what you're going to do after the program. If you have no plan, they will think that you're just doing this to make a bit of money, or maybe you want to leave your country. Maybe it's not so nice in your country, and maybe there's not a job for you to find. So they want to see that you have a plan. And even if you don't have a plan, then think of a plan. Okay, so I don't want you to lie in your interview, but I don't want you to say I don't know. So if the consular officer asks you what are your plans for when you like after the program, please have an answer ready for that. So if you're going to study, then talk about it. Say, I'm going to finish my bachelor's degree when I go home, and I will expect to graduate in 2027 or something. If you plan to work for the same company again or the same organization, you can talk about that. If you plan to start maybe a postgraduate or maybe a master's degree, then you can talk about it. But they want to see that you can talk about it in a conversation. Uh, let's see. Okay, the next thing is about like finances. I guess finances. You would have remembered there was a question in your application about who's paying for your trip, and some of you might have talked about it before. And some of you would have listed maybe your a parent is paying. Maybe some of you listed that Honey Rock is paying, and some of you said you're paying it by yourself. So it's a bit of a tricky question to answer because Honey Rock is paying for all of your program fees. So Honey Rock is paying a portion, and you are maybe paying for your visa fee and your flight. So it's always a bit of a difficult question to answer. So if you get a question like that, who's paying for your trip, then you can explain to them, like Honey Rock is paying this program fee for me, but I'm paying this and this, or maybe my parents are paying my flight and my visa, or I'm paying it because I have a salary. So typically, if you're not working currently and you're not earning a salary, we don't want you to put in that application that you're paying yourself, because that means you don't have money technically, or you could have money, but you know what I mean. But yeah, it's not a very typical question. So I'm just mentioning it because they can talk about finances and to see if you have the financial stability to be able to participate in this program. Okay. If you mentioned, for example, your parents are paying for you in your application, they might ask you what your parents are doing for work, like what kind of work are they doing. They might even ask you how much your parents are earning. Okay, so I know it sounds crazy. It does happen. They can ask a question like that. And for example, I don't know how much my parents are earning. I don't know. And I also don't really want to ask my parents how much they're earning, because in my culture, it's not something that I would ask my parents for. But if you did list in your application that your parents are paying for you, then maybe it's a good idea to at least know what jobs they are doing, what kind of positions they have, and you could ask them roughly how much they're earning. But I think only a few of you, no, maybe not many of you, answered it like that. But if you answer that you are paying for the trip, then they can obviously see in your application that you're employed at a company, and they can see how much you're earning per month. Okay. They can ask you how much money you'll be earning at camp. So each of you should know this amount. It's on your camp contract and it's on your DS 2019. So know how much money that is. And yeah. Remember the $400 that's listed on your DS 2019, that's not money that you'll be paid, that's money that you're expected to take with you. Sorry, my throat's like very dry from all this talking. Okay, let me just turn light on here. Okay, let's see. Okay, quite an important question. It doesn't come up so often, but a question that sometimes applicants get is, what will you do with the money that you earn at camp? So if you get a question like that, please don't say, I owe someone money in my home country, I have to pay it back, or I'm gonna, yeah. If they get any idea that you're in this for the wrong reason, they will not give you the visa. So if you get a question like, what are you going to do with the money? You can say you want to travel a bit after the program, like in the US. Anything like that is fine. But if you say you have like a massive student debt that you have to pay, you owe the bank a bunch of money, don't say things like that. I think even if it's true, don't say it, because it just can be a bad answer. Okay. And if you're planning to travel, so maybe raise your hands if you are planning to travel after the program in the US in that 30 days. Is anybody planning to travel? Raise your hand. Okay, so like 2 of you, 3. Okay, so if you're planning to travel, they might ask you about that. But they might ask a question to all of you. So they might ask you, where are you planning to travel, or are you planning to travel? And you can say, if you are not planning to travel for sure, then you can say, no, I don't have time to travel because I have to go back to work, or I have to go back to university. But if you are planning to travel, you can tell them, yes, I will plan to travel. I plan to travel for 10 days maybe, and I plan to go to this and this and this place. So I have some sort of idea, because then you show them that you've thought about it and you have a plan. But if you say, I don't know, then it shows them you have no idea. So please plan something. You don't have to book anything, or it doesn't have to be confirmed plans, but you can tell them, yes, I plan to go to this place and that place and that place. Yes. Okay. Okay. The next part is about your studies or your work. So they can ask you about your current occupation or work. Occupation is not with work, but they can ask you about, wait, who's working here? Just raise your hand from this group. Who's currently working for a company? Or no one? Oh, like, okay, a few people. So if you're working for a company, they can ask you like about your job. They can ask you, what are you doing? What are your duties? So please just be able to talk around like basic things about your job, about how much you're earning. And if you're studying, they can ask you about your studies. They can ask you, what university are you at? When did you start? When are you expected to graduate? So basic information that you all should know already. They can ask you, what kind of qualifications do you have already? If maybe you finished your studies 2 years ago, they can ask you about that. Yeah, so just make sure that you can talk around these topics. But yeah, that's information that you all should have already. And then there's a bit about traveling. So they can ask you if you've ever overstayed on a visa. So if you've ever overstayed on a visa, that would mean you went to a country on a visa and you stayed longer than you were supposed to stay. That's overstaying. So they could ask you if you've ever overstayed on a visa, and hopefully you haven't. They can ask you if you've ever traveled outside of your home country, which was also a question in the application. So basic information. Yeah, and then if you answered yes to the question in the application about if you have any friends or relatives in the US, if you answered yes, they might ask you about those people, like who are they, where are they living, do you have contact with them, all of those kind of things. Yeah. Okay, and then lastly is about previous visas. So if you've had a previous visa to the US, they might ask you about that. If you ever had a previous visa denial or rejection, they could ask you about that. So please make sure that you know how to talk around those topics. But I think none of you have had a previous visa denial. If any of you did have a previous visa denial, please stay after the call and we will talk one-on-one for 5 minutes. Okay. And then lastly, they can ask you things like, have you ever been arrested? Who's your program sponsor? Who's your program sponsor? CIEE is your program sponsor, not me. Okay, so CIEE. And then, yeah, that brings us to the end of those questions. Does anybody have any questions? I hope someone has a question. Otherwise, I'm talking the whole day by myself. No questions? Okay. Okay, so I know it was a lot of information today. I know it's a lot of time, but this is important information we go through to make sure that you have the best chance to pass the visa interview. If any of you change your visa appointment, or before you change it, please tell me. If you want to reschedule it, please tell me before you change it. But for the most part, you all should almost have all of your paperwork together. You should be well prepared now for the interview. If you have any last questions before you go for your interview, please email me. Or if you're not sure how to answer a question, or maybe not sure about a document, you can always email me and I will respond. Yeah, then I wish you all the very best with your interviews. You can let me know after the interview how it went. Or even if you go for the ASC appointment, Mariani, you can tell me if it all went fine. But for the rest of you, I really like if you can send me an email after the interview to tell me it went well, or maybe this happened or something. Then I have an idea also what's going on. And then lastly, very lastly, before I say goodbye, I will send you each an email, or I will send you an email as a group with a list of videos. I know it's more work, but there's a YouTube channel that it's a YouTube channel that does. It's called Argo, and it's a company that a lot of old, or like people that used to work in the consulates or embassies, they work for this company. So they have very like they have these videos that they post on YouTube that are very informative for what you're doing. So I have a bunch of videos that I handpicked from their YouTube channel that's very relevant to what you're going to be doing. So they talk about various topics. I would highly recommend that you go through those videos before you go for your interview, because it can really give you an idea of like what these people are like, how they interview, like what they ask. Because I don't work at an embassy. I can only tell you the information I'm telling you today. But if you listen to these videos, you'll actually hear the people that used to interview thousands of applicants every single day. You'll hear how they talk. You'll hear what kind of things they want from you. So it's a very valuable resource. It is a company, and they are trying to sell you a service. Don't buy their service. I'm not doing this. That's not what I'm trying to say. It's expensive, like it's very expensive, so don't do it. I'm just giving you the resource so that you can get another idea of like of what it is, of what to expect. So yeah, don't book their services. We don't have any affiliation or friendship with them, nothing. We don't even know them, but I find their videos to be very, very informative and very good for preparing for a visa interview.